This looks like a GameCube controller, but it's not. Well, it is, but it isn't. Okay, let me explain. The Legends over at HandHeld Legend launched a Kickstarter a while ago to produce what you're seeing here, the ultimate GameCube controller. They promised some really cool features, a 1-to-1 footprint of the original GameCube controller, which is my favorite controller of all time, Switch compatibility, and more. So naturally, I started drooling. If you guys remember, I did a video on HandHeld Legends Ultimate Game Boy Advance, and I loved that thing, so I had high confidence that they were going to deliver with this here controller. Between the time they announced this controller and the actual release, the Switch 2 was announced and released as well, and that's mainly what I've been using this controller for. However, I have tested on PC, GameCube, and yes, even NES. Before we do, I just want to say that HandHeld Legend did give me this controller to review. Now, they also offered to sign me up as an affiliate, but I declined. I don't want to try to sell this to you for my own gain, rather I want to give you my raw, authentic thoughts. We'll go over both the good and the bad. If you want to grab one after the video, head on over to HandHeld Legends website and you can buy one for yourself. Okay, now let's look at this thing. First off, they definitely nailed it on the 1-to-1 footprint. It's the same weight, same feel, everything. Here it is side by side with an original controller. Right out of the box, the triggers feel great, even better, I'd say, than the original, but more on the triggers specifically in a minute. There are a handful of other features I want to shout out. We have Hall effect sticks. There will be virtually no stick drift. I love the split D-pad. The only pad I like better than the split D-pad is the paddle type that the Xbox One controllers have, but I'll take a split D-pad over a normally connected one. We have dual Z buttons, so you can use this to play any modern game that would require that, as modern Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox controllers all have implemented this. Now, I don't know if you caught it as I was unboxing this, but there is a glaring issue with this controller that we're going to talk about when we start looking at the gameplay tests, but really quickly, let's look at how customizable this thing is. It is crazy customizable. Now, this is not really my thing, but I know this is a massive selling point for some people. There's a software that HandHeld Legend developed that lets you make this thing into exactly what you want. You can change the RGB settings, remap the whole thing, change the sensitivity on the sticks and triggers, and even more. A little bit earlier, I mentioned that I wanted to follow up on the triggers, and here I want to shout out that you can actually make these triggers mechanical instead of analog. Now, this kind of swap is way beyond my technical skills, but it's really cool to have that, and I've seen some other content creators really like this. There's also swappable game plates to let you get some color variation based on your aesthetic. I love the solid indigo. It's just super nostalgic for me. It's just like the controller I had as a kid. Now, on paper, it's sounding almost too good to be true, right? So let's take a look at how it actually plays. First thing, I wanted to use this thing to play the remake of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 that recently came out for the Switch 2. Setting up the wireless connection to the Switch 2 was a little confusing at first, but once you get it, it's easy as pie. HandHeld Legend has a great Discord server and startup guide that can answer any questions and help you with any problems you have. The remapping feature actually came in super clutch here. Based on the Switch 2's button layout, the GameCube controls for Tony Hawk were all screwed up. For example, what the A button did on the original GameCube is now the B button, and the X the Y. When I realized this, I just remapped it, went back to the couch, and played it like I was when I was a kid for 3 hours straight. I felt right at home. The controller was everything I wanted, everything was responsive and snappy. It felt like Nintendo released a brand new GameCube controller in 2025. But even better, because it's so customizable, because do we really think Nintendo would give us that power? After that, I really wanted to play it on my GameCube, and compare the experience I had on the Switch 2 remake of the original game to the actual original. However, I couldn't play it, and this is the big issue I referenced earlier. This controller comes with no cords. All the cords are sold separately. HandHeld Legend had just sent me the controller, so I had to go and order cords. This was a big bummer, but as a person living in the year of 2025, I did have a USB-C to USB-A, so I could test it on my PC while I wait for them. However, there I ran into another issue. I could not get the controller to connect to my PC to play games. I tried for like 2 hours before asking in that Discord server I mentioned, and someone helped me within like 15 minutes to get it up and running. The issue boiled down to some start mode technicals. I'm not sure I completely understand, but nevertheless it works, and that's a testament to that Discord server I mentioned. If you have a problem with this or any other product HandHeld Legend has, that Discord server is amazing. They will help you with anything you need. After crushing some Final Fantasy 16 with it, I was pleased. While it worked fine, I really did get this thing to be a Switch 2 controller. A few days later, my cords came in and I could actually test this thing on the GameCube and NES. And to give HandHeld Legend credit, these cords feel so high quality. So I set them up and started to game. While trying to set it up up on my GameCube. I ran into some trial and error, but I got it to work. But only on some of the games I tried. Some games like Robotech Battlecry would read 1 or 2 inputs and then stop altogether. On other games, it was totally fine. I'm happy to chalk this up to old software being a little weird. The only thing I wish is that it could be played wirelessly. Maybe that's something they're working on, but for now you've got to buy the cords separate. It working wirelessly would be a dream for anybody with a large setup, as you could just switch the controller between whatever console you want to play, but it needing to be wired is a bit inhibitive at this point. However, when I tried to get it to work on the NES, it just wouldn't. No matter what I tried, what game I tried, it wouldn't work. I really don't know what's wrong. Maybe it's a faulty cord of sorts, but when I plug it in, it turns on, so it knows it's connected to the NES. I just moved on since the NES isn't the main thing I wanted to use it for. It is just a bummer. So the controller performs well on modern systems, but is it perfect? Not quite. Let's talk about pros and cons here. This thing feels good. There's no denying it. As a GameCube lover myself, I will give this the seal of approval for feel. Like I showed off earlier, the customization for this thing is crazy. Now, it's not something I'm super gung-ho about, but it's undeniable. You can make this thing perform however you want. Like I showed previously, this thing can work on a ton of systems. Finally, I just love that it's USB-C chargeable. It integrates super easy with any modern setup. Okay, let's talk about cons. This might have been some user error, but it didn't feel the PC setup was super intuitive. I spent so long trying to get this thing to work, and it wasn't clear to me that there wasn't a wireless option for the PC. It has to be wired in. Like I mentioned earlier, I had to go back and forth with someone in the Discord server to figure it out, and I was getting kind of frustrated after a while. It feels like for this controller you need a bit of tech savvy, but leave some info out that would be helpful for less informed people like me. And obviously the older systems had some real issues. The next con is the cable situation. Obviously the cables are sold separately, and most people buying this controller are gonna have USB-C cables lying around, but it feels like for this price we could have gotten a little more included in this realm. Maybe we could have selected which cable we want, and that ties into the last con, the price. Now, like I said, I got this baby for free, but the price tag isn't necessarily cheap. Now, you are getting a lot out of this controller, but the sticker shock may be too much for some people. So where do I land after all this time with it? Here are my final thoughts. This isn't just a clone of the GameCube controller, it's basically an improvement on what's on the market right now. It's not perfect, but if you're a GameCube fan, this is probably the closest thing we'll get to perfection. I've always loved the feel of GameCube controllers, and so I am thrilled to have this to play the Switch with. Overall, if you want the flexibility and customization of this controller, it is totally worth it for you. Now, it's not cheap, but the possibilities here are so much higher than anything else, I think, on the market. I'm curious in the comments, are you looking to pick one of these up? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? If you're not picking one up, what is it that's stopping you? I want to thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.